Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here, as always, to give you that context, that critical insight from our source material, basically getting you well-informed fast. Today we're jumping into, well, a really relatable moment, actually. It's the continuation of the call of Moses. We're doing a deep dive into Exodus chapter 4, specifically verses 1 through 17. Our mission here is to really unpack Moses' string of excuses, his hesitations, his fears, and look closely at how God responds to every single one. Not just talking, but like giving him actual tools and reassurance.
Right. And this bit is so crucial because it shows that massive gap between getting a huge calling and, well, actually accepting it. Moses just saw the burning bush, heard God call his name, got the promise, I will be with you. But then, okay, time to go. His reaction is just profoundly human. It's like a rapid fire list of doubts, basically trying to get himself off the hook.
Yeah, it's not just, oh, I'm scared. It feels much more like strategic resistance almost. He throws up three main barriers, and looking at them, it sort of reveals a hierarchy of his fears. So let's start with the first one, the big one really, that external fear. The fear of being rejected. His first objection right there in verse 1 is all about how others will see him. He says, but behold, they will not believe me or listen to my voice, for they will say, the Lord did not appear to you. He's not doubting God appeared. Notice that. He's afraid the people, the Israelites he's meant to save, won't buy it. He thinks he lacks, credibility.
And that's a deep psychological hurdle, isn't it? He's not even worried about Pharaoh yet. He's worried his own people are going to laugh him out of the camp. And what's key is how God responds. God doesn't just say, trust me. He gets it. He understands that this fear of public rejection needs, well, public proof, tangible evidence. So he gives him three specific miraculous signs right then and there.
And these aren't just random magic tricks. They feel really specific, designed to counter that exact skepticism and build faith. So let's unpack these signs. The first one is his staff turning into a serpent. Why that?
Well, the staff, that's his shepherd tool, right? It's part of his current identity out there in Midian. But when it becomes a serpent, that's raw power. And in Egypt, the cobra, the uraeus, that was a huge symbol of Pharaoh's own authority and divine protection.
Ah, okay.
So by turning Moses' personal staff into this symbol, God's basically showing, look, the power behind you is greater than the power you're about to face. It gives him instant authority, you could say.
Okay, that directly tackles the credibility issue head on. Then the second sign is, wow, even more startling. It's personal. His hand turns leprous, then it's instantly healed.
Yeah.
That's pretty graphic and immediate.
Yeah, it connects God's power directly to Moses' own body. Leprosy back then often meant uncleanness, maybe even divine punishment. So showing the power to inflict that decay and then instantly restore it, that demonstrates absolute control over life, health, vulnerability. It's God saying, I control the messenger's very being, so I can definitely validate the message.
Makes sense. And then sign number 3, the final piece of this evidence package, is taking water from the Nile and pouring it on the ground, where it turns to blood. This feels like the biggest power play, hitting Egypt where it lives.
Oh, absolutely. This is a major nugget of knowledge moment about the context. The Nile wasn't just water, it was Egypt's lifeblood. Its flooding was practically deified, linked to God's happy. Turning that water to blood, that's like a direct strike against Egypt's whole system, its agriculture, its economy, and importantly, its gods. It's a huge statement. Your gods, your life source, they're under my command.
Wow. Okay, so God stacks a deck. 3 powerful, culturally specific, verifiable proofs designed to completely wipe out that fear of external rejection. He literally hands Moses the tools. But here's the twist, right? It turns out the tools aren't quite enough. Because maybe the fear wasn't just external after all.
Exactly right. Once God addresses the they won't believe me excuse, Moses immediately shifts gears. The internal fear surfaces. He stops worrying about the audience and starts worrying about himself.
Yeah, he pivots straight to self-disqualification. Verse 10, oh my Lord, I am not eloquent, but I am slow of speech and of tongue. He's basically saying, okay, the signs are great, but I'm the wrong guy. I can't talk.
This is where you really feel his vulnerability, don't you? He's telling God, essentially, you gave me miracles, but you missed a key flaw on my resume. I can't communicate effectively. He's zeroed in on his own perceived weakness.
And God's response here is just profound. He doesn't just say, don't worry, I'll help you speak better. He goes deeper. He challenges the whole idea of human ability with this rhetorical question.
That's the absolute theological core of this exchange, I think. God asks him, who has made man's mouth? Who makes him mute or deaf or seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord, who... It's not just a challenge. It's like a complete recentering. Moses is stuck looking at his limitation. God's pointing him back to the source of all abilities and limitations for that matter.
He's basically saying, look, I designed the whole system, mouths, ears, eyes. I know how they work and how they don't. If I chose you with your slow speech, then that limitation is actually irrelevant to getting the job done.
Right. And that leads straight into that incredibly comforting command, now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth and teach you what you shall speak. The promise isn't that Moses will suddenly become a smooth talker. The promise is divine partnership. God says, don't worry about your eloquence, worry about my presence with your mouth. The burden shifts entirely.
Okay, so you'd think that would be it, right? 3 undeniable signs, plus this deep theological reassurance about his core inadequacy. But Moses still pushes back. What's going on with that final desperate plea?
Yeah. This is where I think we see the line crossed from understandable hesitation into, well, outright resistance. After all that, Moses just throws his hands up. Oh, my Lord, please send someone else. It's not really about ability anymore, is it? It feels like he's just completely overwhelmed and wants out. He wants to abdicate the whole responsibility, even with God's promise of direct help.
And the text says God's anger is kindled here, which, you can kind of understand. God's just dismantled every single excuse Moses threw out.
Yeah.
But even then, even in that frustration, the response isn't punishment. It's grace again, and it's practical. It's logistics.
That's the really astonishing part. God doesn't say, fine, you're disqualified. He doesn't withdraw the call. He makes a structural adjustment, you could say. He seems to recognize Moses' anxiety is now a real block, almost a psychological one, regardless of the reassurance. So he provides a helper. He appoints Aaron, Moses' brother, to be the spokesman.
The perfect workaround, really. Aaron is described as someone who can speak well. So he becomes the official mouthpiece, standing right alongside Moses.
And look at that final reassurance God gives. Verse 15. You shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you both what to do. It's not just about Aaron taking over. It's the establishment of a team, a partnership. God's commitment extends to the whole structure needed to get the job done.
That brings up such a key point for us listening today, doesn't it? God provided layers of help. Proof for the public, a reminder of his sovereignty for Moses' self-doubt, and then finally, a partner for the actual task. It's like God introduced this idea that leadership, that big callings, they often aren't solo acts. Success might actually depend on partnership.
Exactly. We tend to idolize that, super capable, eloquent, self-sufficient leader who can just handle everything alone. Moses is almost the opposite. He's the reluctant leader, full of doubts. And this passage strongly suggests that God's callings often require delegation, require partnership. If you have a genuine weakness, God might not magically erase it. He might instead bring someone alongside you to compensate.
And how often do we resist something, a project, a role, a responsibility? Because we feel like we have to be the perfect, polished article before we start. We raise our own slow-of-speech objection. And instead of maybe looking for or accepting help, we think we have to fix ourselves first.
Yeah, the lesson from Moses here seems profound. The call was about relying on God's provision, not his own qualifications. And sometimes that provision looks like another person. It looks like a collaborator. Think about it. If you're facing something huge, something that feels way beyond you, maybe the provision God has supplied isn't just internal strength, but someone standing next to you. Aaron wasn't a second prize. He was the necessary piece that allowed Moses to actually step up.
So let's think about applying that. For you listening right now, are you holding back from something because you feel you lack a specific skill, your own version of eloquence, that maybe someone else in your network, your team, your family already has?
The deep insight here, I think, is realizing we often mix up obedience with self-sufficiency. Moses wasn't truly ready until he accepted Aaron. His final act of faith wasn't suddenly becoming brave. It was agreeing to go, knowing Aaron was going with him.
So the big takeaway seems to be, stop using your own diagnosis of your limitations as a reason to disqualify yourself. God provides what's needed, whether it's the proof, the inner reassurance of his power, or, critically, the partner. He met Moses' fear of rejection with tangible power. He met his fear of inadequacy with his presence. And he met his final resistance with a practical partnership.
Right. So maybe a final thought to chew on this week. Where do you feel inadequate? Do you keep looking for external signs, or do you need to let go of the idea that you have to be perfectly competent on your own? If you find yourself thinking, please send someone else, maybe pause and consider who God might have already placed nearby who's your Aaron, to make that very mission possible, together.
Whatever fears or doubts you might be wrestling with this week, maybe hear the core message from this deep dive today. Obedience starts when you accept the equipment, and God is always providing the equipment. Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth. We hope this gave you some clarity and insight for the week. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive, and we'll catch you next time.